Hi, I'm Paul from the Studio Rats. Right, I keep getting asked to create a bunch of patches for the Line 6 Helix. So what I thought I'd do is to go and buy myself a Helix. Now, this is not a sponsored video. I bought this Helix out my own money. And I used to have a Helix back when it first came out, I think about 10 years ago, 9 years ago, something like that. But I had the rack Helix. But this thing is massive. If I get my Quad Cortex, you'll see that it's like 3 times the size of a Quad Cortex. Now, one of the other reasons, apart from creating patches for the Helix, I wanted to see how relevant, I'm probably using the wrong word there, but relevant it is in 2024. There are a bunch of new guitar processors out there that have sort of really moved on with the technology, especially with the capture sort of side of technology as well. Now, the Helix is a modeler, so you can't capture, and all of the sounds are created inside of the Helix. So you can't sort of mic up an amplifier and then copy that sound into the Helix. And if I'm honest, when I first plugged it in and I was playing through some of the sounds, especially some of the presets, which are never normally known to be that great, I was a bit like, oh, do you know, it's a bit flat and a bit lifeless. But diving into it and having a look at some of the new amps and some of the new effects in there, it's actually really, really good. So what I thought I'd do in today's video is just have a look at the Helix, and I'll tell you what I think's good and bad about it, and I'll play through some of the presets that I've created. Now, one of my favourite guitar tones over the last couple of years has been a Dble sort of style tone because of my Amplified Nation Overdrive Reverb. Absolutely love that amp, love the tone of it. And I wanted to see how close we could get to that sort of sound inside the Helix. So I created this patch here called TSR Dble Drive, and it sounds like this. Now, back in the day when I had the Helix rack, I remember going through some of the effects and thinking, they're not great. Even back then, I didn't think they were that great compared to especially some of the stuff that, say, Fractal were bringing out. And some of the more sort of external reverb, something like the Eventide H9. But I created this patch here called Shimmer Clean. And one of the things that has been updated is some of the reverbs. If I go to the reverb here, we've got some new reverbs, and there's this new reverb they've got in called Dynamic Hall, and it sounds like this. Now, there are some quite clever effects inside the Helix. If I go to this patch here called Bloomverb, what I've done here is I've set up a couple of different compressors. Now, the second compressor, I've got a Dynamics auto swell in there. And what that does is, as it says, it auto swells. Now, one of the great things about this, we've got this threshold. So what we can do is we can go underneath the threshold and then we don't get the swell. And then the more dynamics that we add to it, the more it swells in. Which I think is really useful, especially in recording for those sort of pad effects. Now, most modelers do high gain stuff pretty well. I was really impressed with some of the amps in here. And what's really useful is you can click on this preset stomp button over here, and then you can go into some of the effects that are actually included inside this patch. So I've set up this Kinky Boost here to add as an extra bit of drive for that patch. So I've created 8 patches for the Helix that are basically usable and accessible from these 8 switches here, and still keeping the bank up and down and the preset stomp and the tap buttons, which you can also reassign to do something else. Let's go back to the factory presets here. Now, I appreciate that some of these are the original presets, but the AC30s in here are a bit... To me, they sound nothing like AC30s, and I guess at some point Line 6 will be updating it. It is amazing that after nearly 10 years that they're still using what I think are the same presets they had back when it was first released. I think they could update that. So as I said, there are 8 presets that I've created for this. You can download them on our website. I'll leave a link in the notes below so you guys can go and check them out. The Helix is great. I'm really surprised how much I enjoy playing through it. I think the actual feel and response of it is actually still quite impressive. I was expecting to plug into it and it to feel a little bit lifeless and to feel a little bit removed from the actual guitars. I'm sort of so used to plugging into valve amps and you're getting that immediate response. But it is still a really good unit. Anyway, I really hope you guys got something out of this video. If you did get something out of it, don't forget to like and subscribe, click on the bell button, and to be notified of any future video that comes out from the studio. I'm Paul, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.